So, in martial arts or in everything that I teach, we try to move every single major joint, which is your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulders. Your hips, your knees and ankles are your major, I call them the primary movers, because we do most of our tasks like that. Now we have lots of small joints throughout the body are still part of the total movement, because if you integrate the whole body, you have to move every single joint in your body. Whether you think you're moving or not, they're still part of whatever happens. So they may not be moving. They're starting to get, especially the degeneration of movement starts to become more rigid and stiff. Now, like anything that's mechanical that has to move, if you don't move it, you start to lose it. Not just your elbow joint or your wrist joint or whatever joint that you're not moving. It happens in a joint like a hinge joint. If you don't use it, it starts to get tighter or stiffer, mainly because there's oxidation, there's rust, there's stuff that builds up, especially in steel. Now, if it's like stainless where it doesn't oxidize as much, it doesn't freeze up as much. So, I guess if you put a new knee in and it has Delrin and titanium, it probably doesn't freeze up the same way, because it has materials that don't actually decompose the same way. But your joints do, because it's made up of tissue and cells, so it can break down, and if you don't have lubrication in there, it's not going to move. But all of this stuff happens through the course of movement. If you move, then your joint starts to work, because your body responds and says it needs to do this. Now, you say, well, if you move your joint a lot, is it going to be a problem? Well, it depends how you move. If you're moving and it's always misaligned and maybe you're using the wrong direction of movement, it's not the joint that's compromised, it's the tendons and ligaments that are getting stressed, or maybe compromising the position of your joint. That's where your body movements will start to degenerate more. I mean, that happens, to everyone, simply because our bodies, really move based on what we tell it to do. And if you don't tell it to do it correctly, then you will have some problems. And everybody has those problems. If you're doing this and you're practicing for a long period of time, the tendency is probably you'll have a better, percentage-wise, to be in a better condition than someone that doesn't do this. Okay, so let's go through the sequence. I think we can get through the form from the beginning to the end. I'm going to face this way, so now you have this mirror here, then you have the front side there. Okay, we open the form. So this is your part the horse's mane, and we do it 3 times. And then we do the stalk flap swings and turn to brush knee 3 times. So we're just going through the sequence for sequence. When you practice this, you can do it much slower if you want, but slowness is, one of the ways that we practice. Not so extremely slow that you're moving like a snail. You have to be able to create the movement and the action to have a building of the coordination and timing in the movement. Okay, then we have grasp the sparrow's tail, or ward off, roll back, and press. And then finally the push. Holding the ball, standard procedure. That's your preparation or the setup for the next movement. And we go forward and forward. Then next we go into the cloud hands. We hook, single whip, and then, I went into the wrong form. It's actually the Yang style. That was the Wu style single whip. 2, 3, and then there's finishing back to the hook wrist, and we're here. Okay, and then we step up, palm strikes face, we go to the corner, we go to the opposite corner, so it's 90 degrees there. We do a heel kick, and then we do two punches to the ear. Then we turn, and then we're doing a heel kick into that corner, and it's parallel to that mirror. And actually, I'm not in front of that mirror, so we're doing this, and then we're going to go down into the downward posture. So it's actually 90 degrees to that wall, and then we go up to the golden cockerel. Now you can see from that mirror, hopefully, I think you can see a downward posture, and we go to the golden cockerel, and then I'm going to go toward the mirror for Jade Lady Work Shuttle and Jade Lady Work Shuttle. So I'm just kind of going through the motion so you can see. This is insert the needle, fan through the back, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is parry and punch, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. And then we close the form. I go to this corner, I go directly toward the mirror. I come up, and we close the form, and we're back to center. Okay, so that's the complete form. You can follow that. So actually, I teach Wu style Tai Chi. My teacher, it was a Wu practitioner. So why do I teach some of these other forms? Why do I teach 24 movement? Because this was something that came up last night and even in the Kung Fu. So, our primary style of Tai Chi is Wu style. Some people think it's a modified slightly because there is influence by teachers. And the 24 is something that I teach as an add-on, as a supplement to the other styles that I teach in Tai Chi. I actually teach the competition forms in Tai Chi, and I teach those because of interest, because of popularity, and it's because they're shorter forms, mainly designed for competition or 24 movement design as a universal health exercises in a lot of hospitals globally. China uses it, it's out in the parks, so it only makes sense to teach some of the common form, and then we focus on the Wu style as a traditional art to preserve the art. So I'm much more diverse than a lot of traditionalists in the sense that I'm open-minded to teaching, other forms, but I don't teach the classical forms of those other styles. I teach the competition forms because those are standardized forms that are universal, and they're not taught directly from traditional teachers, but taught by coaches or, in the Beijing universities or some of these physical ed institutions that teach this generally to students, period. So anyone can learn them, And part of that, because we have traditional and modern, we have the global economy, so forth, and we have people that travel the globe. So we have East meeting West. So modern styles and newer versions of Tai Chi have been adapted. So a lot of people today only know the modern. So it's just part of a marketing tool, as if you were running a business. But I do it to preserve the art in the traditional side, and I teach the competition side for interest, or people that want to do that specifically for the aesthetics. The modern forms are more aesthetically pleasing in some ways, but much more difficult to do. And the people that do Tai Chi on that modern side generally do it for competition, or maybe just an interest, and it's a passing interest. It's not something that they stay with like the traditionalists. So that's why, I'm teaching the Yang 24 on Wednesday morning, not to be saying what is necessary to practice, but if Yang 24 is difficult for you to do, there's always the Tai Chi paradigm, which we do on the other Tai Chi days. So on that note, stay tuned, share it, and if you have people that are interested, let them know, give us a thumbs up, and click on the notification, and you'll get notified every time we have a class. All right, on that note, I'll see you next time.